This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So what is the syntax of array team? So data type, you can take any data type. Array symbol, you can take before reference or after reference, and your reference name like object name equals to new data type. Here I'm taking integer. Here you have to provide a size. Here let me take my integer size is, let's say, 5. Whenever you say like this, there will be a memory creation for your array with the size of what? With the size of 5 here, right? Now, what is the size? I have provided size name 5. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. And so each and every index of this number, this index of array having a number. So this number we are calling at what? Index number. So in Java, index number starting from what? 0. 0 index, first index, second index, third index, fourth index, like this. So how to store a values in these positions? Based on a reference index number. So here my reference name is ref. So in ref 0th index, what you want to store? I want to store a value based on my array type. Here, what is my array type team? My array type is integer type. Here I can able to store only integer value which is in integer range. So now my 10 value come and store here. So here I am giving a reference called what? Here the name of this array reference is ref. Right? Now if you want to store one more value based on index, so second index 0 number equals to my integer value 20. Now 20 come to the here, storing here like this. Next value, third position, that means second index number 30 value, semicolon, like this. Next, fourth index, third index, fourth position 40. Fourth index, nothing but fifth position 50. I can store values like this, right? Now 30 comes to here, 40 comes to here, and 50 comes to the last index, that means fourth index. How to access these values team? Again, based on a reference name and index number. If I want to get last value, mean 50 value, how to access team? You have to use that reference number and which index you value you want to get it. I want to get it the value from my fourth index. You have to get the value like this, right? So here the only advantage of array is you can hold a multiple values with a single reference, right? And what are the disadvantage team? The main first thing is you can store only homogeneous values. That means if you create an integer data type, you can store only integer number. If you create a string array, you can store only string values. If you create char array, you can store only characters, right? And so to avoid this disadvantage of this array, so people come up with a solution called what team? Object array.
Object.
So you can create an array using an object. How come object? So earlier what we know about object? Object is nothing but instance of class or blueprint of a class. Whenever you create an object, memory will be allocated for your class. That to a non-static memory you can execute, or you can call methods and variables based on that object reference. Now in Java, again there is a class called what team? Object. Using that class array, you can hold any data types. How? Observe. For each and every data types, right, for each and every data types, there are a classes team. Observe carefully. See, object is a class from java.long package. So whenever you create any class, that means your own class, your class is acting as by default the child class of object class. Already we discussed, right, this thing. So whenever you create a class, any class, by default, who is the parent class of your class team? Let's say you have created a simple class, a class name A. Now, so by seeing this class, you can assume this is an independent class, but that's not right thinking. Always there is a default super parent of each and every class. What is the class team? Object class. Whether you mention or not mention. So if you create a class by default, that is acting as a child class of object class. So if you want to mention, if you want to create child class of any class, how will you create team? Let's say this class name is A. So sorry, this class name is B. Now you want to make a relationship between A and B. How will you create? So here you will say A extends B, like this. My A is acting as a child, B is acting as a parent. Now here, if you create a class, so by default there will be a parent class, default parent class. What is the default parent class team? Object, whether you mention or you made a relationship or not. So there is, so by default, so it is considering as a child class of your object class. And also data types. What are the data types we have? All are a child classes of object class. Now parent can hold child classes. Here, if you create an array, so what is the syntax of array creation team? What is the syntax of array creation? Let's say, so if it's integer, data type, array symbol, reference name or variable name equals to new data type. So have you remembered team? So if you are using a new keyword, what is the intention of new keyword? What is the purpose of new keyword? So if you're using a new keyword, you are creating a new instance or a new memory for that class. Here, for what class I'm creating object or a memory? So by seeing this, you may consider this is an int for we are creating object for int, but there is no int class team. There is a class called integer. So if you create a syntax like this, so internally what will happen, you know? So internally, so this statement will create object for this class. What class? Integer class. For each and every data type, so we have a wrapper class name. So first people are introduced this primitive data types, byte, short, int, long, float, double, and then so people are introduced to wrapper classes. Wrapper class nothing but based on your primitive data, people come up with a classes. These are a predefined classes from a Java, and each and every class acting as a child class of object class. Observe here. Now my object class, child class is directly number, character, boolean. Number class also having a child classes, byte class, short class, integer class, long class, float class, double class. Now internally, so if you create an array like integer, let's say, let's consider integer. Now here what I'm doing team, I'm creating object of this integer class. By seeing, you may consider, you may think here we are creating object of int class. There is no int class team. These are a primitive data types and these are a wrapper classes. In syntax, we are using primitive types, but technically it is creating object for wrapper classes. Getting me? Now, so object class is a super class of each and every class, right? Now, so the first advantage of arrays is what? So you can hold only homogeneous data type, single data type. To overcome, people come with a solution called object array. Now, if you create object array can hold any data type. How? Because object is a class, it can hold any data type. Parent can hold child class types. And what is the second drawback, team? Second drawback of array?
Fixed size, static size.
Yeah, very good. Fixed size. So by the time of runtime, you cannot change or you cannot increase or decrease your array size. Let's say if you are allocating more memory for your lower use case, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your memory. Let's say so if the array size is not sufficient for your use case, now you will get what? If you are storing a values or a numbers more than your array size, what you will get, team?
Exception index, array index
out of bounds exception. Boss, this array size is not exceeding. You're trying to store a more value than your array size. Right? You will get array index out of bounds exception. That is the second drawback. And what is the third drawback, team? There are no any predefined functions. So if you are manipulating large data, you can, if you want to do a sorting, if you want to get the last value, highest value, or average. So if you want to do a lot of manipulation calculations, you have to write so much of code, team, using array. Right? To overcome these drawbacks, the first one, people are given the solution called object array, and second one, people are given solution called array collections, and also for a predefined function. So there are again solution called collections. Inside a collection, we have a plenty methods, team, predefined methods. So you can simply use the method. Already Java people written some code for sorting order, for getting highest value, lowest value, to get a last index number, first index number, average, right? So ascending to descending, descending to ascending. To do these type of calculations, people already written some predefined functions in collections. Okay, team. Now, array we can technically define into two types, team. One is single dimension. What is it mean by single dimension? Nothing but this one. If you want, so you can create an array. This is a single dimension array. So already we have seen what is a single dimension, right? And also you can create multi-dimension array, team. Let's say I'll give you a simple example. So here you're storing a plain values or numbers. So if you want to store a values like this, you can store, team. Observe here. I want to store a values like this, rows and columns. Let's consider. So here I want to maintain 2 columns, two rows like this, right? Even if you want, you can create arrays like this, multiple rows and multiple columns. So anyway, people are not using, but have a knowledge on this. Okay. Now, so here simple how we are creating a single dimension array like this. You can create a multi-dimension array. So this is a 2D array, team. Nothing but 2 rows and 2 columns like this. This is we are calling as 2D. You can create a 3D, 4D, 5D, right? Now, so 2D is good enough. How to create this 2D dimension array? Let's say, so same here. Let's say if it's an integer, observe here. So int array symbol 1 dimension, array symbol 2 dimension, reference name equals to new data type, and array symbol. How many rows you want to get, you want to write, how many columns you want to write, right? And what is the size of, or what is the number of rows and number of columns. Here in this example, I want to take 2 rows and 2 columns like this. There is not much difference. Just you are giving one more array symbol before reference and after, before equals and after equals. Just here to here I have increased array symbol. That's it. How many dimensions you want to write, and increase that many number of array symbols. Clear, team? Now let's see here programmatically. Let me create a 2-dimensional array. Right, int array symbol, first one, second one equals to this, let's say users equals to new array symbol, semicolon. Here, so here I am like to try create 2-dimensional, 2 rows and 2 columns. Now how you insert a value string here? Simple, you can insert like this, users. So here also storing based on a number team. Observe here. So if I say like this, so it will consider in which index you want to store. Let's say, so always in Java index number starting from 0. Let's consider this is 0 row, 0 column, right? And this is 0 row, first column, right? This is first row, no, 0 column, first, 0, 1,
First
0,
row, first,
0. This
first
is
row, first column. 1 1.
no, this is 0, 1. Okay, this is 1, 0. This is 1 1. So observing, say 0 row, 0 column, 0 row, first column. Clear? First row, 0 column. First column, sorry, second row, second column. Index number starting from 0. First row, observe like this. This is first column. Nothing but you can consider 0 column. I'll provide here number. This is 0 column. This is first column. This is 0. This is first row. Now clear? No confusion, right? Now you can store numbers like this. So on 0, 0, I want to store this value, right? And zero, 1, I want to store like this value. 1. On 1, 0, I want to store this value 30. On 1, 1, nothing but second row, second column, I want to store like this. This is not a much important thing. So anyway, we are doing lots of practice on collections, but have a knowledge. So there are, so previously, so from before Java 1.8, 1.7, 1.6, and people are using these arrays. So anyway, so we'll have a much knowledge on Java collections. So we are not going to use these arrays, but still people are calling, asking few questions in arrays. Okay, have a knowledge. We can create a single dimension array, multi-dimension array based on your requirement. But so apart from these arrays, you can do lots of things by using collections team. So that collections is entirely based on a interface and objects and predefined methods. So there are any number of interfaces, many number of objects. So by default, if you want, you can store any data type, and also the size is also dynamic. And if you want, you can do a lots of predefined method there. So you can use based on your requirement. You no need to write your own code. If you are going with arrays, you have to write a lots of code for your requirements, right? Now this is about two-dimensional array. As of now, I'm giving the example. This two-dimensional array. If you want, you can create a three-dimension quarter, right? Like this. So that's what about array-st. Right. So next, let's discuss about control statement. By default, Java program execution order is Java program execution order. Sequential. Early, I told you number of times. Line by line. Right. See here, whatever you are writing the code, it will be execute line by line, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Line by line. So always program starting from main method. From main method, whatever you are giving, it will execute from line by line. Suppose if you are calling any method inside this line number 20, from line number 22, it will go to that method, and after execution, it will come back to the 21 line. Sequential, line by line execution order.
Yes.
Right. Sometimes if you want a requirement, if you have a requirement like, so you can execute a program based on your conditions, based on your statements. The execution order you can control it. So basically it's a sequential line by line execution order. So if you want, you can control Java program execution order. So by using three types of statements. First one is looping statements. And the second one is condition statement. And third one is transfer statement. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. So what does it mean by looping statements? Right, so if you have a requirement, let's say I have a piece of code, so I want to execute 10 times or 20 times or n number of times. So let me give you a simple example here. Let me get a package called control statements. Nothing but, so you can control program execution order using control statement. On that, the first one, we have a looping statements. Right now, first of all, let me have a main method. Right now, inside the main method, I'm having a simple code. Let's say hello. So This one, the simple code, forget about the internal logic. Now this code I want to execute 10 times or 20 times or 100 times, right? So generally up to, based on our knowledge, how you'll execute this line 10 times or 20 times or 100 times team. So simply you will do what? Let's see, copy,
We will write.
paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste 10 times. Now, so this is not a good practice team. You should not write these many lines of code, and this is a duplicate code, or we can call it as a dead code, right? You should not maintain code like this, right? So if you have a piece of code, if you want to execute number of times same code repeatedly at that time, so you can use looping statements team. Loop, you are looping one program, you are executing a program multiple times based on your requirement, right? So in that looping statement, we have a separate syntax system. The first one here is for loop, or like we can say simple for loop. So by using simple for loop, we can execute a piece of code number of times based on your requirement. For that, here, what is a requirement team? This one is very important team. So here, so you have a piece of code here. Let's consider the same thing. You have a piece of code. Now, as a programmer, you already know how many times you want to execute this program. At that time, go for a for loop, right? I'm repeating one more time. As a programmer, you already know how many times you want to execute this same line or single code. Now let's consider, I want to execute this code, hello team, 10 times. How many times team? 10 times. Now as a programmer, I already know how many times I would like to loop this code. How many times? 10 times. So here, so already we know number of times execution. This is prerequisite. Now here, let's observe the syntax team. So if you want to use anything, we have a syntax. For loop also we are having a syntax, right? So simple for loop. So here there is a Java reserved keyword called what? For. Just for. For. Again parenthesis. Here you have to provide where you want to start loop. Loop starting point. Here you have to provide colon, loop ending point, colon, loop increment. For every loop, for every iteration, how much you want to increase, or at the same time you can decrement. You can use decrement, increment, nothing but improvement, or you can use loop reverse execution. At the time you can use decrement, increment or decrement. Close your parenthesis and here open floor braces. This is your looping code. Here you can maintain looping code. Floor braces close. Nothing but your for loop syntax close. Writing. Just here you have to provide loop starting point, semicolon, loop ending point, semicolon, loop increment or decrement. Now observe this example. Now I want to execute this code 10 times. Now apply our simple for loop team. So what is the syntax? Tell me the syntax. For Java reserved keyword, parenthesis,
Loop.
and loop starting point. Here I want to execute this one 10 times. Now my loop starting will be what in 1. I want to start this loop from 1. So this is a number, right? System cannot understand. I have to give in the form of variable like int a equals to a 1. This is my loop starting point. So if you want, you can give directly like this, storing into one variable. Here you can give a variable, but I don't want to give like this. Here I am giving 1. System cannot understand, right? We have to give in the form of variable declaration. So generally people will take like this thing, int I equals to 1, loop starting point, right? And next, what is the next thing after semicolon?
Ending
Loop
point.
ending
Loop
point.
ending point.
Ending point. Now I want to execute how many times? 10 times here. Now the ending point will be 10. This is also we have to give in the form of variable declaration, int I equals 10. Already we declare a variable called integer, right? Now the same I am giving same variable, this integer variable. I'm starting 1. I would like to end at 10, right? And after that, every time what value I value we want to increment. I want to increase this I value 1 time. So we should not say like this I plus 1. So this is equals to, you have to say I plus 1. This is nothing but you can say I plus plus. Nothing but every time for every iteration increase I value by 1. You have to say like this I plus plus. And here I am getting error. Why I am getting error? Here I'll tell you team. So this is what I'm saying as of now. This is loop ending point. As of now I'm saying what? Loop ending point. But this is not only a loop ending point team, this is also condition. What the condition and how it will check the condition and what the condition must be every time we'll discuss. Okay, now let's observe the same syntax here. Now after that, parenthesis, my for block starting point, my for block ending point. Now observe the same syntax here. See, observe loop starting point. So where I'm starting loop team, I equals to 1. Now loop ending point, where I'm ending a loop here. So initially I'm saying I equals to 10 was end the loop at I value equals to 10, and loop increment and decrement. As of now I want to execute positive way, nothing but 1 to 10. If you want you can execute 10 to 1 reverse order. Now, as of now, let's in this example we'll see 1 to 10. Nothing but for every execution I want to increase my I value 1. Nothing but if I say I plus plus, nothing but this is equals to I plus 1 every time. Let's consider first time I value equals to 1. It will execute this statement. After that, it will increase I value by 1 for my existing value. Already my existing value is what in 1. It will add one more value. If I say I plus plus, after executing of this for block, it will increase my I value by 1. Now it will becomes 2. Whenever I become a 2, here I am also checking the condition D. My I value, if the I value is less than or equals to my loop ending value, then only enter into the block. Then execute. Here, this middle one, everyone saying loop end pointing, but it is not only a loop end point, it is also loop execution condition. Here loop endpoint, and the most important thing here is condition. Now let's see the example. You will get good understanding on this. Right. Now observing. Now I am starting loop value at 1. Now my I value here I am taking a variable, counter variable equal to 1. Now I'm starting loop value 1 and ending a value 10. Now every time this location, what will do, team? So if I say run as Java application, first time my I is initialized. If I equals to 1, okay, it is coming to this internal block of this for block, and it will execute this code. After the execution of this code, what will happen, team? Here I am saying I plus plus, nothing but I plus 1. So here I value is 1. What I am saying here? So here do I plus plus, nothing but 1, existing value plus 1, it will become a 2. Now here, so before going to the for block, before executing second time, now it will, here I am checking the condition, team. Now this time I will become what? 2 here. Now here I am checking what? Please check if I a new updated value less than 10 or equals to 10. Now then only execute into the for block and execute the code. Getting, team?
Yeah.
Now let's see by executing run as Java application. Observe. Now if you want, you can print the I value here itself, so you can able to know how many times it is executing. Now let's say I plus. Right? Observe. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Hello team. Now let's see in detail execution team. Now in Eclipse we have one more advantage. You can execute the program in a debug mode team. What is that? Debug mode. Let's see how to execute in a debug mode. See, nothing but you can see the execution order, you can see the variables increment, and you can see the conditions also. Now observe. So if you want to execute in a debug mode, here you have to set a debug points. How to set a debug points? Now here I want to clean observe in line number 7. Now in line number 7 here, in this blue line, just double click. Now you will get a bubble here, blue bubble. Able to see this?
Yeah.
Now I want to see in line number 9 also. So in both two lines, I want to observe execution order. Now, so every time, how will you execute the program, team? Just right click, run as Java application, right?
Java.
Now this time, right click, debug as Java application. Observe. If I say debug Java application, now it will ask you the confirmation. So this will open in a new window, debug window. Now let me switch to the debug window. Observe. This is my program. Now here you can able to see the variables here, the first option, right side. Here you can able to see the breakpoints, line number 7, line number 9, and expression. Here variables. First of all, the important one is variables here. Now here I want to check how this variable value increasing, right? Observing. Now, so if you want to execute in debug mode, so just right click, debug as Java application. Now it will ready to execute. Now, so this is not started the execution. It will start execution until the debug mode, and it will pause here. Now if you press here on top of this, observe, step into step over. If you click on a step over, it will execute and it will go into the next line execution. Better, let's see, remove this line. Okay, I'm having 7th line and 8th line. Debug point at 7th line, debug point at 8th line. Observing. Now let me click on a step over. My program is stopped at 7th line, green highlighted line. Now let me step into step over and observe here variable values. Now I'm clicking step over one time. Just click step over. Observe my loop execution started. Here my I variable initialized with the value of what?
1.
1. Now observe the execution. Now if I click on step over again, and it will execute this green highlighted line. Now I am clicking step over. Now you will get output. Now observe, I am clicking step over. 1 hello time. Now if I click on step over, now here after the execution of one time this hello team, and it is coming back to the here. Now here as of now, observe, if I move cursor to the I value, what is the I value as of now team?
1.
Here 1. Here also 1. Here you can consider 3 portions inner my for loop. There are 3 portions: loop starting point, loop ending point, and loop increment point. Now if you see here, I equals to 1, I equals to 1, I equals to 1. Now this is executed now, and it is coming back to the here. Now currently program is located in this area. Now if I click step over, my I value will be increased by 1. So as of now existed I value is 1. Now I am saying I plus plus, that is equals to I plus 1, increase value by 1. Now I will become a 2. Right? Now if the I becomes 2, after that, after increasing the I value tree, and the second step is it will check the condition tree. Before entering to the for block, it will check the condition. What if the I value is less than 10 or equals to 10? I value, what is the I value? If I click step over, it will become a 2. Now 2 less than 10, true or false?
True.
True. Now if it is true, then only it will enter into the for block tree. Observe, I am clicking step over. Now my I value increase. What the value I know?
2.
2. Observe, I equals to 2. Updated value. I 2 less than 10. Yes. Condition true. If the condition true, then only it will enter into the for block tree. If the condition is false, it will not enter into the for block. Now my execution at what line? 8th line. Now let me click again step over. Until unless if you don't click a step over, it is not going to the next line. Now let's click step over. It will print I second time. Till my I value is 2. If I click again step over, now my what I am saying here after executing this code, now it is coming back to this portion.
Increment.
Again increment I plus plus, nothing but I value 1. Observe, my I becomes 3 now. Now condition, I value 3. 3 less than 10. Yes, true. If it is true, then enter into the for block. Now execute the code whatever we mentioned inside a for block. Now click one more time. Increase I value plus 1. Now I become a 4. 4 less than 10. Condition true. Enter into the block. Execute the code. Come back to the I increment. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 less than 10. Condition true. Enter to the block. Execute the code. Now I value as of now 5. 5 plus 1, 6. 6 less than 10. True. Enter into the for block. Execute the code. Again 7. 7 less than 10, true. Enter into the log, execute the code. I plus plus 7 plus 1, 8 less than 10, true. Enter into the log, execute the code. Increase 9. Now 10. Now execute the code 10. If I say, observe here, as of now my I value is 10t, right? Now what I'm saying here, I plus 1, 10 plus 1. 10 plus 1, what will happen? Observe. 10 plus 1, I value become 11. 11, now if I say next time, 11 less than 10, true or false?
False.
11 equals to 10. Here I am checking two conditions, not only one condition. Less than or equals to. If the I value less than, enter into the block. If I value equals to, enter in the block. Here you can check two conditions here. I'm checking I value either below 10 or equals to 10. If any condition true, then enter into the block. Now this time I value will be 11. Now it will check the condition. Condition 11 less than 10, false. 11 equals to 10, false. It won't enter into the for block, and simply it will terminate the execution. So it will automatically comes out of the for loop. Now it will execute after the for loop, whatever you mentioned, it will execute this normal statement. Clear, team?
Yeah.
Now let me repeat the syntax one more time. Now for is a Java reserved keyword. So after that you have to take a parenthesis. Inside a parenthesis we have three portions. One is what? Loop starting point, where you want to start a loop, the value, and loop ending point, where you want to end the loop. And not only loop ending point, this is also condition. And always condition must be true. If the condition true, then only it will enter into the for block. Otherwise it won't enter into the for block. If the condition becomes false, simply it will skip for block or terminate for loop. And the third portion, loop increment or decrement. Inside whatever the code you want to execute based on your for loop. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Now we are clear.
No.
Right? So this is how you have to write a syntax of for loop, loop starting point, loop ending point, and a condition, loop increment inside your code. And so if you want, you can maintain normal statement before for loop. If you want, you can maintain normal statement after for loop, like this. Right? Now this is how you have to execute in debug mode. Set up debug points wherever you want to observe the variables, and if you want to execute step over line by line. So if you after the running in a debug mode, you have to click on the step over or else F6. And if you want to terminate the execution, it's a red button. Or if you want to continue the execution, observe here. Now here we are executing in a debug mode. If you want to close in debug mode, observe right top corner debug. Just right click on it, close it. Right? So if you want to remove these debug points, so here you can double click, it will be removed. Again, if you want to mention one more time, just double click or double click. Entire project, if you kept a number of keyboards debug points, you can remove entire project debug points at a time. Observe here we have an option called run. On run, the last least option is remove all breakpoints. If you click on this one, so all the breakpoints from a project will be cleared out. Just it will ask you confirmation. Yes, remove. So if you want, you can set one more time. If you want to execute a debug point, right click, debug as Java application. So switch to debug mode. Now execution is stopped in line number 7. If you want to execute, step over. Sorry, wrong debug point. Debug as Java application. Okay, normal statement before for loop. Now step over. Line number 8, I value 1. Right? Now again step over. I value becomes I plus plus. It will become a 2. If I say step over, it will become a true 2, and here I will be replaced with the 2 value 2 less than 10. Condition become true. If the condition becomes true, then only entering to the for block. Like that. Step over, increase the 2, enter into the block, executing code, coming back, increasing value, checking the condition, executing code, coming back, like this. So if you want to execute remaining thing, just here, resume. Wherever you stop the code, from that point, it will execute remaining code. Resume code will work like this. Right. Now execution completed. If you want to close in debug mode, right click here, close it. Clear team?
Yeah.
Let's say I want to execute this code 100 times. How team?
I less than or equal to 100.
May change the condition.
So here, let me give example code here. This time 10 times. Now this time I want to execute this code 100 times. Let's say here loop ending point and a condition must be 100. I value every time. So either it should be below 100 or equals to 100 until 100. Right? Observe run as Java application 100 times. Right? So 1000 times you can execute any number of times. Right? Now, so I want to execute this 100 to 110 reverse order. Tell me the syntax. Tell me the syntax team. Reverse order.
I minus.
I minus minus. Okay. Every time I want to decrease 1. This is equals to I minus minus nothing but I minus 1 every time. Okay. What is the syntax team? See, just remember the syntax. Loop starting point. Here, where I want to start the loop, my loop, this time I want to start my loop at what? 100. This is loop starting point. And so what is the second portion? What is the second portion, team?
I less than or equal to 1 condition.
Loop ending point and also condition. Observe here. So here I want to execute this one 100 to 1. Here What is my loop starting point? I would like to start at 100. What is my loop ending point? I would like to end it at 1. Now, to take it as a 100 and take it as a 1 loop ending point. Now, check the condition. What I'm checking here, every time I value less than or equals to 100. Is the condition true, team? I
No.
value less than or equals to 1. I value
Greater
should
than or
be
equal to.
every time it will be either above 1 or equals to 1. Hope the condition is clear. Now inside for you can segregate into 3 blocks. First block where you want to start loop. Second block where you want to stop it. And third block every time how much value you want to increase or decrease. Here as of now I am decreasing by 1. I minus nothing but I minus 1. Okay. And a middle one, there is not only a loop ending point. So by the time of execution, each time I would like to check the condition. If the condition true, then only execute this piece of code inside a for loop. Now what I'm checking the condition before executing this code and check each and every time whether I value is either greater than 1 or equals to 1. If it is greater than 1 or equals to 1, then only execute. Nothing but in between 1 to 100, 100 to 1. If it is less than 1 or greater than 100, don't execute. Here I am also setting a condition along with my loop ending value. Now observe the execution run as Java application. Normal statement started at 1 and started at 100 and at 1. Please let me know if you have any more clarity. Naresh,
Clear. I'm clear.
Bhavya, Sunil,
Yeah, no doubt.
No, I'm good.
thanks. Just let me have here. This is example 2. Now here let me have 1 to 10 only for better understanding. Let me remove these lines. Now just I'm having a loop syntax inside this, right? Starting at 1 and for let me stop it at 10. I greater than or equals to 10, right? Answer. Now if I say it will execute 1 to 10 times, so loop will, sorry, I might press right.
Yes.
Let me stop.
Yeah.
So if I execute this one, it will execute 1 to 10, right? Now observe it. So if you have a syntax like this, here what I'm saying inside this parentheses, there are 3 blocks. First one is initializing, loop starting point, loop ending point, loop increment or decrement. Here loop starting point, you can give any value here, and loop ending point, and also it is a condition. Observe team, if it is not having any ending point, if I say true, now observe the execution. What will be the output team? Can you guess it?
Increments.
Simple logic. You can guess the output.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying here. So this is a loop ending point, and also it is a condition. So when this for block will executing, whenever your condition becomes true. So can I say execution of this code is based on this condition,
Yeah.
and also if the condition true, then only it will execute. If the condition false, it won't execute for block. Now observe the execution. Here simply I am saying a true Boolean condition. Now observe the execution. Here I haven't set any endpoint, so that every
Yes.
time it is checking condition. Every time condition true, enter into the block. I value increasing 1. I value keep on increasing by 1 every iteration. Let me stop execution. Now, so here, let me remove this one. If I execute this one, what is the output? Error.
Yeah.
I
Condition.
think,
Maybe condition.
First option error, second option I equals to 1, and third option program will not execute. This type of questions you will get it in. Now observe the output. Run as Java application. So it is taking a default condition true every time, whether you mention or not mention. So it will take a default condition. The default condition here is true here, default by default. So if it is true, it will execute. If it is a false, it won't execute. Always before executing, here it will check the condition. If your condition becoming true, you can expect output, or you can expect execution of the code inside your for block. If the condition is false, you don't expect execution of for block. Clear, team?
yeah.
And also here, these curly braces are not a mandatory. If you want, you can keep it a block, but for a for block, curly braces are not a mandatory here. Same, you can expect same output. So, I less than or equals to 10. But if you don't mention a block, so here you can give a executable statement. Now observe the output, team. Observe the output. I am giving you 2 lines. Observe. If you are not giving a curly braces, you can maintain 1 line. So if you want to maintain more than 1 line, so you have to take curly braces for block body, I can say. Okay. Now if you are not maintaining a body, so you can maintain a single line, that too executable line, that too executable code, not a declarative code. Without the body, you cannot maintain a declarative code, nothing but variable declaration like this. You cannot maintain like this here. You can maintain without a braces, you can maintain a single line, and that single line should be a executable code, not a declarative code. Clear, team?
Yeah.
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 Please let me know if you have any questions, and observe the syntax. And one more time, so people are saying loop starting point or loop initialization, loop ending point, And remember team, this is not only a loop ending point. Here also we are checking the condition. What the condition? On based on condition, the execution will be depends. If the condition true, then only inside a block code will be executed. Always your for block code execution depends upon your condition. If the condition true, then only it will execute. If the condition is false, it won't execute. So here, based on your requirement, you can take loop increment or loop decrement. Clear? And that's what about simple for loop. So even we have an advanced for loop. So we'll discuss. Before that, we have some dependency topics for discussing the advanced for loop. Just practice on the simple for loop and just try to execute it. Just try to print. Just try yourself. If you're not getting, I'll give you tomorrow. Just print prime numbers between 1 to 100. Right, team? Just try yourself. So before trying this one, just execute, just practice on this thing. So 1 to 100, 100 to 1, so 20 to 100, 50 to 100, 20 to 80. Right? Now, tomorrow we'll discuss the remaining. Okay? No questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.